Hello and welcome to Tech Deal's first boot and Windows update of this Dell Inspiron 15.6-inch 4K laptop computer. What is this video? Why should you care? This video is all about setting up a new machine, setting up Windows itself, setting up the account, making sure Windows is up to date, our drivers are correctly installed, and our antivirus and anti-malware are working correctly. Many people will buy a new computer and in their excitement, they turn it on, they quickly go through the first couple of screens and immediately want to start downloading, installing programs, signing into their email or Facebook. Stop, don't do that. Why? Because Windows is not secure fresh out of the box. This is very important. Most computers have an image of Windows on them that is anywhere between a few months to a year or more out of date, because they make one image when they start making a model of computer and generally don't ever change it. So when you first get into Windows, Windows is out of date, security updates are out of date, Windows Update is out of date, your antivirus is out of date. You want to make sure that's all up to date before you start using your machine. Note, you generally only have to do this one time when you set up a new computer. Once this is done, Windows generally keeps itself up to date. We'll talk more about that later, but generally what you're about to watch is a one-time process when you get yourself a new computer to make sure it's safe and secure. Side note, this particular machine I've reviewed before. Link in the description below. Please go check it out because this thing is awesome. What is it? For about $1,000, you get one of the best 15.6-inch laptops at that price point on the market. This is a true 4K or Ultra HD screen. It is 4 times the resolution, 4 times the pixel density of most other laptops at this price point, which only have a 1080p or Full HD screen. This has a really nice screen, and it's a touch screen and an IPS. Basically, it's a very high quality screen. This also has a top-of-the-line Intel i7 6th generation processor. It's a 6700HQ, 4 cores, 8 threads, top of the line. It's a true quad core. It is almost as fast as the desktop i7 chips. Very good. It comes by default with 8 gigabytes of RAM, easy to upgrade to 16. Another link to a video of me showing you how to do that in the description below. It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive with an 8 gigabyte solid state drive cache. It's not as good as a true solid state drive, but it's better than just a plain hard drive. And there is a place in here to install a solid state drive in addition to it. I will also be filming that in an upcoming video. It also comes with NVIDIA's GeForce GTX 960M dedicated gaming graphics card. Very, very nice computer. $1,000, go check it out. I highly recommend it at this price point, at this size. Anyway, moving on with the video. The purpose of this video is Windows. Now, the screen you're looking at right now is the very first thing you'll see when you press the power button for the first time. This is Windows setup. What it's asking you here is language, keyboard, and time zone. Now, I'm not going to change anything because I speak English and I'm in the US, but I'm going to change the time zone from Pacific to Central because I live in Texas, so I'm in Central time zone. And I'm going to hit Next. And here's the legal stuff. This is basically a very long agreement that you have no choice but to hit accept to. Isn't that grand? So hit accept down on the bottom. Get going fast. What does this mean? Well, briefly, Windows 10 has a lot of features in it that did not exist in older versions of Windows. Some of them existed in Windows 8, but if you're from Windows 7 or maybe even XP, this is all brand new. Some of these things benefit you personally. Some of these things benefit all computer users collectively. And some of these things benefit Microsoft. The short version is Windows 10 phones home with telemetry to Microsoft about a lot of things going on in Windows. Crash reporting, driver problems, program compatibility issues, how the system is functioning and working. These things help Microsoft make Windows better over time. With hundreds of millions of computers letting Microsoft know how it's running, it does in fact help them make Windows run better. What else does it do? It helps you personally by improving the speech recognition from Cortana, which is the voice recognition personal assistant built into Windows 10. It helps you sync up your OneDrive and personal files between various machines that you might be using. And it improves your search results as well as improves your online security through something called Microsoft Safe Screen. Having said that, there's something called telemetry where Microsoft tracks what websites you go to, what you search for in their Bing search engine or through Cortana. And some people don't like this. If you want to turn those features off, there's a customize button down on the bottom of the screen you can click to go through and change some of those settings. I'm not going to show you those at detail in this video because it takes about 10 minutes to go through them and it makes these videos too long, but check it out if you're interested. So I'm going to use Express Settings. Why? Because I don't really care and I'm under no illusion that that stuff is not already out there. For example, do you use Google search engine? Google keeps track of every site that you ever go to and every web search that you ever make. If you use Google's Chrome browser, they do the same thing. Your phone, whether you have an iPhone or an Android, is tracking your location and what you're doing. So Microsoft is late to this party. They didn't start it. Now we're just waiting for the system to boot up. Interestingly enough, while this machine has a 4K display on the panel itself, the HDMI out port, which is what is driving the screen you're looking at, is a older style HDMI 1.4. What does that mean? It'll do 4K on this screen, 1080p on the big screen. It actually would do 4K, but only at 30 Hertz, and you wouldn't want to do that. So if you want to connect an external monitor, just plan on connecting a 1080p external monitor, not a 4K. Make it yours. What is this here? Your Microsoft account opens a world of benefits. Now, Microsoft wants you to set up an account, which is why if you look in really small print on the left-hand side bottom of the screen, there's a skip this step button. I actually recommend you make a Microsoft account. Why? There are benefits to you to it. For example, it does allow Microsoft to sync all of your settings, your Windows Store apps, your OneDrive account, your Cortana searches between all your machines. Maybe you have a computer at home, you have one at work, you have a laptop you take to school or you travel with. If you have more than one computer, this allows all your machines to use the same login and to share basically your same user information. If you are a parent, Microsoft Family Safety works through this. With a Microsoft account, you can set up child accounts that you control for your minor children. Even if they're 5, 6, 7 years old, you can set up their own individual account with their own password and their own login to Windows. You can control the hours of the day they're allowed to use the computer. You can control how many hours per day they can use it, what programs they can run, what websites they can and cannot go to. You basically have total control over what they're doing, so they're not on your side. They have their own login with their own files, and your stuff is safely hidden away, and they don't get into it. This is a good thing. When the child becomes of age, then they inherit their account and can separate from it, and basically they've got an account for life that you've set up from them from an early age. I have this set up for all 3 of my kids, so when they grow up, they've got Microsoft accounts with a whole history behind them, and they can do their thing however they want. If you don't want to set up a Microsoft account, that's fine. You can do a local account, which is what Windows has used for years. I use Microsoft accounts on my personal machines. This is a demo machine, and because of that, I'm going to use a local account. I'm going to hit skip this step, and I'm going to name it, what else? Tech Deals. Now, I recommend you use a password. I use passwords on all of my computers, work, home, laptop, everything. I'm not putting in a password here only because demo machine, I will reboot this 50 plus times in the next 8 hours, and it's just a waste of time to type in a password. So I'm not using a password, but you generally should. Meet Cortana. Cortana is your sidekick ready to help. If you're familiar with Siri on Apple's iPhone, same thing from Microsoft. Sure, why not? We'll use Cortana. That's a personal choice. Some people don't like it. There is a webcam and a microphone built in, so you can absolutely have this set up to, in fact, just respond to voice. You can have it set up to, hey, Cortana. So rather than having to press a key or click on anything, if your laptop's just sitting there, you can say, hey, Cortana, what's the weather? Hey, Cortana, when does the restaurant close? Hey, Cortana, add something to my calendar or schedule. And she'll do it for you just like Siri would on your iPhone. Getting things ready. Please don't turn off your PC. I wasn't planning to, we just turned it on. This actually doesn't take very long. I mentioned before at the beginning of this video that this computer has a 1 terabyte hard drive with an 8 gigabyte solid state cache. It is not as fast as a true solid state drive, but it is faster than just a hard drive. This process here will be in between performance-wise between just a hard drive and a solid-state drive. Now, I am going to upgrade this machine to a solid-state drive. I will video it, and that'll be posting in the description below when that actually gets finished. Speaking of which, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, click on the big, huge subscribe button that's down there. If you're watching this on a desktop, if you're on a mobile, it'll be in a different spot. But the big red button, because you'll get notifications when new videos such as that post. I will also film not just the physical installation, but also the cloning process to where we move Windows and all your programs from the hard drive to the solid state drive without having to reinstall anything, and then we'll wipe the hard drive and use it as a data drive for storing music, movies, games, and stuff, where the SSD becomes our boot drive. I will do Windows performance videos before and after, so you can see a before and after performance comparison between running lots of programs, rebooting speed, etc. We're into Windows. That was actually pretty quick. Networks, do you want to allow your PC to be discoverable? Sure, why not? Because I'm on my office network and I trust it. So we're into Windows, so you can start using your computer and log into websites, right? No, Windows Update. First thing you do on any new computer is run Windows Update. Why? It's not up to date. So we go to Start, we click the Settings icon, which is down on the bottom there. This opens up Windows Settings. You want to click Update and Security. Now, this machine is running the anniversary update of Windows 10, which was just released in August of 2016. That is not what you would get if you go buy this from Amazon tomorrow. Why is this? Because I've already upgraded this machine. I actually wiped this machine to film this video, and this had already been upgraded. One of the cool things that Microsoft does with Windows Update, let me hit check for updates, is that once you upgrade to the next version of Windows 10, a system restore does not take you all the way back to the release version. It just takes you back to the first major version, making Windows Update run much, much faster. And look, there's already several updates. So the version of Windows that's actually on this laptop is only about 6 weeks old, but the version that came with it was 10 months old. This laptop came with the fall 2015 version of Windows, and that's likely what you'll get on one. If you look at my link in the video description below, it'll take you to Amazon, which is where I bought this laptop. You'll get the fall 2015 update. That's 10 plus months. That came out in November of 2015. It's out of date. This only has anniversary because this is not actually the first time I've turned this laptop on. In order to film this video, I actually wiped it and restored it back to system, back to the clean install so that I could film this for you. You're welcome. It's a test laptop. It's not that big a deal. This won't take very long because there aren't that many major updates that came out in the past 6 weeks. There are. I mean, there's a security update, a cumulative update sitting right there. But this would take, when I first did this update on the fall 2015, just for reference, it took about 15 minutes. This will only take maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It'll then reboot and go through that process now. Run Windows Update twice. I don't know on the anniversary update whether it will find anything the second time, but every single time on the fall 2015 version, Windows Update always finds usually 2 or 3 more updates after the first run and first reboot. Why? Because there are what's called order dependencies. Microsoft will download cumulative and security updates that have to be installed before the next round of updates can be done. And so you'll download like 5 or 6 updates. It'll take 15, 20 minutes. It'll reboot and you'll think, great, I'm up to date. Go run Windows Update again and it will find more. So always run Windows Update twice. Now again, this is a one-time process when you set up a new computer. And it's now, before it was in downloading them, now it's installing them. This is a one-time process when you set up a new computer. Once this is done, so long as you leave your laptop plugged into wall power, and I do have this plugged into wall power here, once a week, overnight, and it has some form of internet access, either Wi-Fi or wired, which is what I have. I have this plugged into my wired office network. Windows will turn itself on at somewhere between 2 to 4 a.m. in the morning, will download and install the latest Windows updates, reboot the machine, and shut itself back off. It generally won't do that on a laptop if it doesn't have wall power, because Microsoft doesn't want your laptop to wake up in the morning with no battery power. Now, you might ask, wait a minute, but if I turn my laptop off, if I go to Start, Power, and Shutdown, and I actually shut down the computer, I don't just hibernate or suspend it, it can't turn itself on and update. Yes, it can. Because as long as there's power applied to it, modern computers are never off. There's always power applied to the motherboard, and modern BIOS chips can wake the machine up, boot Windows, run Windows Update, and then shut it all down. If you actually want to kill power on a laptop, well, that's actually hard to do, because unplugging it doesn't do you any good because there's a battery. And most laptops cannot easily have the battery removed anymore, so they're kind of always on unless your battery completely runs out. Desktops, you can always pull the power cord out of the back and then your computer is truly off. But you don't want to do that. I know I'm old school. I used computers back in the 1980s with floppy disks. The idea that the computer just turns itself on is a little bit weird, but fair enough. It will keep itself up to date. You don't have to keep doing this. In the Windows XP days, you would want to run Windows Update manually on a regular basis, and of course nobody does, and there were lots of computers on the internet that were insecure, and hackers would get into them. That's why this is all automatic now. It is a good thing for the vast majority of us. And it's all done. A restart is required. And what it's saying here is your device is scheduled to restart outside of active hours. You can change the active hours so Windows does not reset your PC in the middle of your work. Normally it reboots in the middle of the night. Maybe you're a night owl. No worries, you can change that. So we'll hit restart now. This is going to run a percentage counter, reboot, run another percentage counter. It'll take 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to trim this video because you don't want to watch a percentage counter, and we'll be back when this is back into Windows. And we're back. We're just shy of 95% complete on the reboot and the progress bar. When we get into Windows, we're going to run Windows Update again. We also want to make sure we download and install the latest NVIDIA graphics drivers, because this game has a dedicated NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960M graphics card for gaming, video rendering, etc. It's a great graphics chip at this price point. We also want to download and install the Intel driver update utility. Why? Because we also use the integrated graphics when not gaming, and we want to make sure that our Intel Wi-Fi adapter, our Bluetooth, our Ethernet connector are all up to date. There are often 1 or 2 drivers in the Intel driver update utility that need updating as well. So I'm going to show you that process here once it finishes booting into Windows. So we are in Windows. We'll come down to Start again. Run it twice. Settings, Update and Security. And look at that, there were problems installing some updates. The definition for Windows Defender could not install. No worries, this is why you run it twice. Many times on a fresh machine, Windows Update can't get everything done on the first go. This isn't an ongoing problem, first boot only, but that's why I film these videos, because many people don't know these things. Now, of course, if you know all this, well, you probably aren't watching the video, that's okay. But I didn't know this at one point, you know, everybody's new, so that's okay. So we're going to run Windows Update one more time. And while that's running, I'll go ahead and open up Windows Defender, which is actually right at the top of the list. What's new in Windows Defender? Your free antivirus recommended by Microsoft. Settings update and protection updates. Now, what is this turn on button right down here? This is new in the anniversary update to Windows. I do turn this on. Why? Because what this does is this provides more communication between Windows Defender and Microsoft, and allows Windows Defender to communicate what it's finding and samples of potential viruses and malware to Microsoft. Yes, it's more telemetry. No, I don't care, because there's no nefarious stuff going on here. Microsoft is in fact providing me with free antivirus. You used to have to buy this from McAfee or Norton or from another company. We now get free antivirus. That's not a bad deal. They can have the telemetry in exchange for that. Now, if you take a look, you'll see virus and spyware definitions were created 119 days ago. That's out of date. But that is because Windows Update could not install the updates. It's now doing it right now. This actually probably will not require a reboot. I'll go ahead and close Window Defender. I will let Windows Update finish running. Well, it's preparing to install, then it's going to install. And it looks like it has finished installing that update, and your device is up to date. Let's check this by reopening Windows Defender, and virus and spyware definitions are now up to date. Awesome. So let's close that, and we'll close this. Now, we want to do two things: Intel driver update utility and NVIDIA graphics drivers. Open your favorite web browser. We are going to go to NVIDIA drivers. And the first one on the list should be download NVIDIA drivers. There is an auto detect option on option 2, but if you're setting up this machine, let me save you the trouble. We have a GeForce 900M series for notebooks. We have a 960M, and we are running Windows 10 64-bit. Search, and there it is. Download, agree and download. There's always something to agree to, isn't there? Download time, of course, will depend on your internet connection. Install time isn't actually that bad. There we go. Save. And it's now downloaded. And so when it completes its download, it says running security scan, and we'll hit run. It'll pop up a box saying, do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Yes. At this point, we can go ahead and close our web browser. Just accept all the defaults in the graphics drivers. It knows what to do. There's nothing fancy or special here. Basically, you want to install everything. And this process was just extracting the files from the download in order to do the installation. The installation box will come up here in a second. There it is. NVIDIA graphics driver version 372.70. Your version may be different. They update these drivers on a regular basis. Why is it important to do this? More so than any other component in your computer, graphics cards continue to receive rapid paces of development and tweaks and optimizations for specific games, programs, and titles. If you want to play the latest Battlefield or Grand Theft Auto or Fallout game, you want the latest graphics drivers installed. Furthermore, and I'm just going to choose Express, there's no reason to do anything else. Furthermore, if you want to do video editing, and this laptop would be a great video editing laptop. Why? Intel i7-6700HQ processor. It's top of the line for laptops up to 3.5 gigahertz, 4 cores, 8 threads. This is almost as fast as an i7 desktop would be. This is a really, really good chip. The 4K screen, also awesome for video editing. Lots of real estate for crisp, sharp images. So if you want a laptop that can do video editing, this is what you want. At this price point, you can spend more, but at this, the value here is tremendous. If you use a professional video editing program such as Adobe Premiere Pro, the graphics card will accelerate the encoding and the effects process. If you use Adobe After Effects, if you use a lot of transitions and titles, your videos will render faster using a combination of the GTX 960M and the CPU over just the CPU alone. But you want to make sure you have the proper latest NVIDIA graphics drivers installed to allow it to do that. And it's just going through the installation process. In addition to installing the latest driver, it also installs the latest physics software, which is physics software that goes along with it. It installs GeForce Experience, which will run in your task tray down on the bottom, which will alert you when new drivers come out. And then instead of having to go to NVIDIA's website, it's basically a one-click, okay, update me and install. It won't install them automatically, but it'll pop up a notification on your toolbar that says, hey, there's a new version of the graphics driver. Do you want to install it? Yes. All right, it'll download and install it for you. Now, when this finishes, it might or might not want to reboot. I recommend you reboot anyway the first time you install your graphics drivers. And, well, it's launching GeForce Experience for the first time. We'll go ahead and reboot. And then we'll do the Intel driver update utility. I'll show you that. It's checking for updates. We just downloaded it. Of course there's no updates. All right, let's reboot. And let's run that Intel driver update utility. And here we are coming back into Windows. I just trimmed a bit of the reboot time out to try to shorten this video a bit. Anytime you are downloading and installing multiple drivers and programs and updates, I always like to reboot between them because they change a lot of files and interdependencies in Windows. You don't have to all the time unless it says reboot your machine, but I think it's a good practice. What are we going to go for? Intel driver update utility. That's easy enough to find. And we'll click on that. Now, you might ask, and we'll hit download now, you might ask, why do we need to care about the Intel integrated graphics driver when we have a dedicated NVIDIA graphics card? Agree to the terms and conditions, of course. Yes, we want to make changes. The NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960M, as we sit right now, is turned off. We are running on the integrated graphics. The system switches between the integrated graphics and the GTX 960M on demand. If you launch a game, if you open Adobe Premiere Pro and start rendering a video, the computer will turn on the NVIDIA graphics chip and switch the video over to it. Why? Power. When you're operating on battery power, the integrated graphics uses less electricity. You may very well get 5 to 7 hours of use out of this laptop. Browsing the web, watching YouTube videos, watching Netflix. You might get 2 hours gaming. And the reason for that is simple. The 960M graphics chip uses more electricity than the Intel quad-core processor does. It's the most power-hungry device in this laptop, maybe with the exception of the screen, but I actually think it uses more than the screen does. This is easy. All you do is hit Start Scan. So we want to have the latest Intel display drivers in addition to the latest NVIDIA drivers, because when you're in Windows, you're using the Intel graphics chip that's built into that i7. Let's see here, version numbers installed. Okay, so we do have the latest graphics. The only checkbox is on the Intel ProSet wireless Wi-Fi. Now I have this connected to wired connection, but this has AC Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Those drivers are out of date, so we're going to hit download. And we'll hit install. That couldn't be any easier, but it's not something a lot of people do. Why would you want to update your Wi-Fi drivers? Better compatibility, bug fixes, more throughput, lower CPU power. Yes, I've reviewed another agreement. We'll hit upgrade. This just takes a second. And installation is complete. You are now done with the setup of your brand new laptop computer. You are now free to download your favorite web browser or program or whatever you want to do with your machine. Next video is going to be Windows Performance Review on the as shipped configuration. Then I will film the SSD installation as well as the clone process, and then do a second Windows Performance Review showing the difference in performance between the hard drive as it comes with the SSD cache and a true full solid state drive. And then after that will be some game performance videos showing the performance of the machine while gaming. Like the video if you like it, don't if you don't. Remember to subscribe to my channel with the big red button right down there. If you've already subscribed, thank you very much. And if not, now's the time to click that button. You know you want to. It doesn't cost anything. Get notifications of upcoming videos. Leave your questions and comments and thoughts and feedback in the comment section below this video. And as always, check out my video description below, links to my other reviews on this computer, as well as the link to Amazon where I bought this computer, and you should too if you're thinking of getting something like this. 4K Intel i7, $1,000. It's a heck of a deal for the money. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.